Some one-consonant signs are used to represent sounds not spoken or written in English, and these require special adaptive transliteration symbols of their own. To pronounce them, first is the vulture, a glottal stop like cockney for bowl, for bottle, aw. The reed leaf, like the weak Y sound at the end of T, not to be confused with the vowel I. The arm, like trying to say ah while swallowing. The H with the dot underneath for the emphatic H made in the throat, ha. The next H, like the Scottish loch. The underbelly, another H, like the German ich. The swimming pool, as in ship, sh. The hill, with the K and the dot underneath, the back K, made further back in the throat, like ka, ka. The hobble, like the word tune, the sound ch. The cobra, like the French jeu, the English joke. Attention! Each one-consonant sign represents a distinct sound in the ancient Egyptian language, and so each needs its own transliteration symbol. It is important to include all the various dots and dashes when transliterating. They are not optional. In transliteration, you should use the proper symbol given in the second column of the table shown before. This is true even if we find it difficult to tell the difference between two sounds. For example, the K's, a K with a dot and a regular K, are quite different sounds in Egyptian, even though distinguishing them is rather difficult for us English speakers. There is no need to try and pronounce ancient Egyptian words exactly. In any case, this is impossible, since the vowels are not written out for us. Important. However, it is useful to be able to read out your transliterations and vocalize whole words, rather than spelling them out sign by sign. So a purely conventional pronunciation entirely for our own convenience is usually adopted. These are the renderings given in the third column in the previous table shown. Many signs have values similar to letters of our own alphabet and present no problem, whereas the more unusual ones are usually given a convenient English approximation. Important. We also need to add vowels. The convention normally adopted is to insert an E between each consonant, except in the cases where an A is used, or a U for oo is sometimes used because they are easier to pronounce. 2 points to remember. Once again, these pronunciations are purely practical convenience and are not intended to bear any relation to spoken Egyptian. Understood? Good. So, for example, the following is a word for birds, transliterated as oppidu, given with its transliteration and its English meaning. The vulture represents the letter A for ah, the footstool for P, the hand for D, the quail for oo sound. The duck is a determinative as described before in the lesson. The 3 strokes indicate plural, which is also a determinative. By adding the conventional E in between the consonants P and D, we are able to pronounce it a lot easier and have the English word equivalent of oppidu. Arrangement of signs. It may already have struck you from looking at the examples discussed so far that hieroglyphs are not arranged one after the other as our own alphabetic system, but in balanced groups or blocks, arranged to fill the available space. In particular, some signs are placed over others in order to fill the space in a more pleasing manner. So, for example, here is the name of the official Sendi. The name is also shown in the inscription below and is written from left to right, starting with the S, but notice that the signs making up the name are grouped together, so that the N, as a long, thin sign, is placed above both the tall, thin signs of B and I, forming a block. The rule for such arrangement is quite simple when you meet a block of hieroglyphs. Read the top ones before the bottom ones, and then carry on as normal. You will see a number of examples grouping throughout the rest of this chapter. You may wish to read this paragraph again later on. Determinatives, meaning signs. So far, we have studied words written out with sound signs alone. However, in hieroglyphic writing, words are sometimes written with meaning signs, or determinatives, placed at the end of the word for the sound signs. The following are examples of some common determinatives and words written with them. A man and his occupations. A god, a king. Here we have the name of a god called Sokar, transliterated as Sukr. Here we have the sun, light, time, transliterated as Hru, for day. Here we have a pair of legs, for motion, transliterated as Ha, for scent. Here we have a bird, a small bird, used for bad, weak, or little things, transliterated as Bin, for bad, evil. Finally, we have a town, a village, a sort of schematic, transliterated here for Iunu. Iunu is an Egyptian word, which also is in Greek for Heliopolis, city of the sun, and this is a place name. Determinatives do not contribute to the sound of the word, and so are not transliterated from our point of view. They simply help us to get some general idea of the meaning of a word. A large number of signs can be used as determinatives, but for two reasons to remember, this fact should not get in your way. First, as already mentioned, we do not transliterate determinatives, so they do not need to be at the center of your attention, especially early on in your lessons. Secondly, in the inscriptions you will be reading in these lessons, determinatives are quite frequently omitted. Two other common determinatives require a little more description. This meaning sign is a determinative. It is a word used for things to be taken in or expelled through the mouth, either literally, such as eating, speaking, or metaphorically, such as emotions, attitude, thinking, as well as the relative activities connected with these type of things. Something to be careful about. Do not confuse this determinative for the determinative for man. These are two completely separate determinatives and should not be confused. Here's an example. This word has the same block structure described before, and if we follow the principle of reading from top to bottom, such as the letter N, letter I, the letter S, followed with a determinative for the concept described before, we have the word transliterated as nis, and this concept means to call out or summon.